Hey everyone, this is Christine. I wanted to come on and go over something that happened to me back in 2018 at work. This is strictly regarding my PCOS. This is not a weight loss video, but if you want to see more weight loss videos, just stay tuned. They're coming. Also, my weight loss, my weigh-in, if I can speak, my weigh-in video will be coming very shortly. I just wanted to post this about this now since it's in my mind, and I want to get it out there. So, as you all know, I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay, and well, back in 2016, I was working for a major medical insurance provider. Okay, I was working in customer service, and I had about three supervisors since 2016, between 16 and 18, and that was a lot of supervisors. No, I guess not really, since I've been working customer service in call centers pretty much most of my adult life. Not all of my adult life, but most of my adult life I've been working call centers, and I guess that's common. But over here they were pretty sure that they weren't going to be switching, and that's what I thought. But things happen. People want to make changes in their career, which I'm all for. That's fine. So I went from one boss, which was really awesome, to another boss who was okay, to another boss who was incredibly helpful with everything. So I went from 2016 to 2018. In 2018, I decided I had enough with customer service. At this point, 2016, I was not diagnosed with PCOS, okay? 2017, I wasn't diagnosed, and then February 2018, I was diagnosed with PCOS. So I got a phone call from my doctor. I had to go aux. I don't remember exactly, but I went aux to stop calls coming in. And I let my supervisor know, hey, I got a phone call from my doctor, is very important. I just did a bunch of tests, and they need to talk to me. He's like, sure, go for it. So I take the phone call out into the lobby, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? This is Christine. And the doctors tell me, we did the tests, and you came back with polycystic ovary disease. Not polycystic ovary syndrome, which is what it's known for, but polycystic ovary disease. And I freaked out because I didn't know what that was. And I'm thinking to myself, well, who gave this disease to me? And I'm not sure what that was. Polycystic ovary syndrome is the proper way to say it, but they said it a different way, and I still don't know why they said it that way. Anyways, I'll go back to my desk, and I'm distraught. I'm crying. I'm upset. I tell my supervisor, and he's like, well, why don't you go home for the rest of the day and relax? So I leave. I come back to work the next day, and I'm like, I sit down with him, and I tell him what's going on. And he's like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. And I tell him, look, I'm very stressed here in this position. Would you help me get into a different position within the company? Because there was a bunch of other positions available within the company. He says yes, of course, and he helps me. It took us 5 or 6 months to get into a different. No, that was February, then March, April, May. It took me a few weeks, actually, because I got into claims in May. I got accepted to get into claims in May. I was going into all these interviews from that time to that time, and nothing was taking, and I couldn't figure out why. And then finally, those were just not the positions that were meant for me. Finally, I get into claims, and I'm super excited, and I start my training in May 2018. Now, going from one position to the other position within the same company, you'd think the transfer would be seamless, very seamless, very smooth. It was anything but. It was very chaotic. When I got into my first week of training, I didn't have any of the systems that I needed to train properly, to learn, to gather the information, and to keep it in my mind, right? Instead, I get the runaround from my new supervisor, and she's like, oh, we'll find out what's going on. We'll find out. And I'm like, all right. So I let my supervisor know what's going on, and I let the coach know in the training section. I tell her what's going on and that I don't have access. And she keeps telling me, oh, it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to work just fine. Don't worry about it. Once you hit the floor, you're going to be perfectly fine. You've been with the company for a while now, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there for a whole week thinking, okay, next week's going to be different. I'm going to catch up. And so I'm sitting with all these other people, my classmates, going like kind of over their shoulder, in other words, watching whatever they're doing and then trying to take over and doing claims myself while they're sitting right there. I get completely distracted with all these people, and I don't really focus. I don't retain any of the information. Red flag number 1. I'm not retaining any of the information, and the supervisor's not really helping me. The coach is telling me, it's okay, don't worry about it. Week 2 comes around. So I come into class. I'm super excited for week 2 to start because I'm going to get my access back. I'm going to get all of my access back to a lot of the systems that I need. No. Monday comes around, and I'm pulling up everything that I'm trying to pull up, and I have zero access to everything. So what do? I go back to my supervisor and I tell her, look, I have zero access. Something is going on and I need help. That I don't want to be behind. And she says, okay, that's fine. We'll get to it. Deja vu. So I'm sitting here going, okay. I go back and I tell my coach again, I still don't have access. But my supervisor tells me that's going to be all right. She's going to handle it. She's like, okay, and I'll talk to her myself too. And I was like, all right. Once again, I'm stuck sitting with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, much less I don't know what I'm doing either. This is a whole different department that I'm that I wanted to go into. And I continue to sit with them. I sit with the girl named, oh gosh, I don't want to say her name, that I'll call her A, for a couple of days, Monday, Tuesday, and then I sit with a guy named A. I'll just say A. I'm literally using their first initial of their name. And then I sit with a girl, letter initial Z, for a couple of days. And then that week goes by and I learn nothing. I learn nothing. Nothing is in my brain. I learn nothing. Week 3 comes around. Week 3. Okay. And I get into my class, to the classroom, and I'm thinking, okay, it's Monday, we're going to do this, I'm going to get in, we're going to have access. I didn't have access for half that week. Wednesday comes around and I get a little bit of access, but it's gone by the end of the day. So I'm sitting here going, what do I do? So I just sat there at my desk, almost crying because I was so frustrated for that almost 3 weeks I didn't have access. Thursday comes around and I have access, but we're learning a whole different thing. So I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to get this? Finally, it's the end of class and I'm feeling extremely defeated. It's the end of training and I'm completely defeated. My supervisor by this point knows everything that went wrong because I kept her informed with everything. I kept sending her emails, I kept coming to her in person, and I kept telling my coaches. Nothing happened. Finally, I get on the floor. The first week, I fail. She sits me down and she tells me, you're failing. And I tell her, I know, because I didn't get the information that I needed the first almost 3 weeks of training. She doesn't take that as an excuse. There's no excuse. Okay, so I go back to my desk, all defeated, upset, almost in tears at this point. 2019 comes around and I stayed from May to 2019. I believe it was January, February, March. I should have wrote this stuff down. Okay, so it doesn't matter. In 2019, I was on 3 finals. No. I was on I was on 2 finals. Excuse me. I was on 2 finals. The first one passed and I met my quota. And then the second one came in November. No. September. Okay. Because in October of 2019, my supervisor 2018, excuse me, 2018, this all happened in 2018 still. My supervisor tells me, the same supervisor that found out that I didn't have training for almost 3 weeks of training, she sits me down and she tells me, what's going on? And I tell her, well, I'm losing focus because I'm sick. I found out that I have PCOS in 2018 in February. You know what was going on in the classroom. I didn't get proper training for almost 3 weeks. She says that's not an excuse. And if you're losing focus because these are her exact words, that's not an excuse. And if you're losing focus because you have PCOS, which she had no idea what that was at the time, because I explained it to her, she was like, well, what is that? She says, because you have PCOS, you should get on disability. I looked at her and I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to hit her. And I'm not a violent person. But she made me want to punch her face in. I was so angry. My heart rate went all the way up. It shot up. My face turned red. And I was sitting there fuming. She's like, there's no excuse. You have to sign this paper. You're on a final. And if you don't get your numbers up, then you're out of here. I looked at her, signed the paper. I took a break. I went outside to my car, cried, and called HR. Immediately, I called HR. They got back to me. I spoke with a really nice lady. She took my information down. They called me back at the end of the day, because I told her that I'd get out at X time. She said, okay, so-and-so is going to be calling you back. Here's your first name. Here's your phone number. I was like, all right, I'll be looking forward to that phone call. So I get out of work. She calls. This lady calls. It's an HR lady. I don't remember her name for the life of me, and I wouldn't say it even if I did. But she calls me and she says, hi, this is so-and-so. I understand that you have a problem with one of the supervisors. Is that true? And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Do you want to hear what I have to say? And she says, well, of course, that's why I'm calling you. Attitude. And I'm like, okay. So I'm explaining to her what's going on with my supervisor. And she tells me, is she going to fire you? Or is she firing you at all? I said, no, she's not firing me, but what she said to me wasn't right. It's a hostile environment that I'm in. Are you going to do anything about it? No, not if she's not going to fire you. We're not going to do anything about it. Is that it? I'm like, yeah. Okay, well, have a good day. And she hangs up on me. And she hangs up on me. I get off the phone with her. I cry all the way home. I'm driving home. I am bawling. I don't even turn on the radio. I just cry and cry. And I want to... Having PCOS is very stressful as it is. And for somebody to tell me that I should just be on disability if I can't focus, it basically killed me. It really did. And after that, I lost hope with my job. I lost all respect for the company. I lost all respect for my supervisor, what little respect I had for her. And I lost respect for the coworkers that I had who were just like, well, maybe you should get on disability. The problem with that is you can't just get on disability. With PCOS, you have to have so many other issues with it that I'm not going to get into it right now. But the point of this is you need to be kind to whomever you're dealing with. You don't know what's going on in their life. My supervisor had no clue what I was going through. Instead, she wanted to put a Band-Aid over it and say, just go on disability. As if it was a walk in the park. As if anybody can just walk into wherever you get disability from and say, hey, I need disability because I have PCOS. They're going to look at you. They're going to look at me and they're going to say, oh, you can still work. There's nothing wrong with you. So, I got let go in 2019 with a different supervisor because I wasn't focusing, I wasn't doing my job. I had lost motivation to even be there. I was almost getting sick of the thought of having to go in every single day. So in December, 2 weeks before Christmas, my supervisor comes up to me on a Tuesday, not a Monday. They normally she always tells me, she told me this, oh, we always let go of people on Mondays. It was Tuesday. And she tells me, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. You're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. I left, turned in my badge, and that was my experience with that company. And you would have thought that because they are a major insurance provider, health insurance provider company, I mean, they're a big deal. This company, everybody knows them. I'm not going to mention them because then you're going to say, oh, I have that insurance. I'm not going to mention them because I have that insurance right now with a different position or a different job that I'm in, with a different company. But the insurance isn't bad. It's great. It's the people inside the insurance that are horrible. That's my video on what happened with me, with one of my supervisors, my job, and everything. If you have PCOS, I feel for you. I know how hard it is. And don't give up. Keep moving. Keep going forward. And if somebody tells you that you need to go on disability, well, just smile. Give them a sweet smile and tell them, no, thank you, and walk away. It's not worth arguing with them because they're not going to understand. They don't understand anything. Okay? So this video got a little longer than I expected, and I tried to hurry it up, but how do you rush that many years in a video? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for my weigh-in video. If you have any questions about this video, please leave me a comment. If you love what you see, give me a follow, subscribe, and as always, have a wonderful day and or night wherever you are.